Okay. So we are in week three. Before we get into the stuff I got going here, does anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts, worries about what we've done in week two? All right. Like
Actually,
it.
sorry, yeah, just one thing.
Hmm.
Um, excuse me. With I think it was the last assignment for last week where we had to make the one to many relations and the many to many, like within the code.
Hmm.
I mean, I used Chat GPT to kind of help me run through it and learn it, but I was still a little bit confused. Like I mean, it worked, but I just didn't really understand what was going on, honestly. So I remember the ER
Hmm.
diagram, the ERD, like you can just click the things, but
Hmm.
yeah, I was just a little confused on how we're like joining the tables.
Sure. Okay, so I'll when we get to this part here, I'll show you the code for that, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
Sweet, thank you.
All right. So at this point, I'm not going to go through what are there any other questions, or what else good? All right. So I'm not going to go through the individual assignments this week. Y'all know there's exercises, there's the paper, and there's the other things. Today I'm going to go over more of the same code from last week just to get a little more nuanced with it. And then I'm going to talk about the final project. Right. So this week, the code you're learning this week is all about how to filter your data using the where clause. And you can do all sorts of crazy things with the where clause. We're going to talk about some of the things tonight. These are what I like to call party tricks because you probably would never actually do them, but you never know. You never know what someone's going to ask you to do. Okay, these are all codes based from the Sakilla database. The first one here uses something called regexp. This stands for regular expression. Basically, this is saying we're going to put something in here and there's a bunch of stuff you can put in here. We're going to talk about a couple of them. And in this case, we're selecting from the actor table where first name is a regular expression. This caret means beginning of the string, and this means we want a vowel. So what we're saying here is show me every first name that has a vowel as the first letter. And then where actor ID is greater than 50. So if I run that, because I didn't, let me try doing this first and then do this again. And there we get our results. So Adam, Angela, Angelina, Ellen, Albert. So this is just, and these are things you want to Google or look these up in your book or use ChatGPT because you have some things when you get into the expressions, you can do all sorts of things. Next, this query gives me every actor who has a last name with TH in it, and their actor ID is between 100 and 150. So again, the percent is a wildcard sign, which means I don't care what comes before it or I don't care what comes after it. All I want to know is that somewhere in that name are the letters TH. And we run it, and we only got one. We got Angela Witherspoon. Okay. Here, select from favorite actor, where first name is in Julia, John, or Jane, and last name is like R. So we got a where clause with an and, which means both criteria must be met to return them. And then first name is one of these three, and last name is R. We can put an or in there and change the entire thing up. And now it shows me whether or not there. Okay. I'm kind of zipping through these. Everyone keeping up? Because this is just building on from last week.
Yep.
Okay. Here we got selecting from actor where actor ID is not in one, two, three, or four, or five. And the last name is like ends with an S. Okay. And here we've got last name where the length. So length is a clause that measures whatever is in the parentheses and just says how many characters it is. So here we got where the length of the first name is greater than five, less than five. Remember the alligator facing away. is eating the bigger number. So where the name is less than 5 and the last name is greater than 7. Okay. So we got a where clause in parentheses. So where this is true, where the last name is like A, or the last name ends in the first name ends in A or ends in Y. And I've got here mod, and what this is basically saying is show me where the actor ID uh what does mod mean? It's an even number. So this phrase means it's an even number. So go every other so you're going to mod it, look at actor's ID, and wherever it equals 0, which means it's an even number, that's where you're going to show it. If I did 1, it wouldn't show there. So here, here's all my even numbered things. Right. Here we are. Another fancy one. Where last name using a regular expression. And this is just saying where the last name has a double letter of the same letter. Again, this little bridge. Selecting from actor where first name is not null and last name. So there's this is just showing as long as there's no nulls, and there's no nulls in these tables. Here we are with this one. We get the left clause here. So what this is saying, so give me from the last name, from the left side, give me the first character and call that initial. And then I've got here count. So what this is going to do is going to get the first initial of every last name and then tell me how many last names start with that letter from actor. And because I've got this is an aggregate function and this is the aggregate, this is the non-aggregate, I must have that in a group by column. And because I've named the column initial, I can just use that there. So I'm grouping it by here so I get the count based on that. And then ordering it by count descending. So B's have 22, D's have 21, H, so on and so forth. Everyone good? Still doing okay? All right. So this is where the length of the last name, again, the length command, how many characters are in here, where it's 5, and the first name is like, it ends with N. This one is fun. So I'm looking for the actor table and it's showing where the first name, where the first character is A-E-I-O-U, is a vowel. The second character, because this caret is in the bracket, is not a vowel. And the third character is a vowel. So from the start, the first character is a vowel, the second character is not a vowel, and the third character is a vowel. And after that, I don't care. Okay. Selecting from actor where last name, the last initial. So this one on the left side, the first initial is an L in last name. And on this one is last name from the right. So I'm finding last names that start and end with the same letter. Left last name one, right last name one. Okay. Select from actor where first name not regular expression. So this one, you want to take a guess what that one is asking for? Oh, it's right there. Huh, it's right there in the front. It's where I forgot I put that there. Um, it's where there's no vowels in the first name at all. Right. This one where the last name length is greater than the first name length. And last. So this is similar to the one from before where, yeah, Mike.
Just wondering, why is there uppercase and lowercase? I thought SQL is non-case sensitive. Or
Um, it is, but it's just because it has to differentiate from here. So it's just making sure that there is times where in some code. Okay, so how do I get this? So when you create a schema, you define what makes that schema what it is, and 90% of the time your schemas are not case sensitive. But you can set parameters that require the database to be case sensitive. So when you're writing
okay,
code for a database that you don't know, you cover all your bases.
okay, makes sense. Thank you.
And the last one here, give me the first name, the count is name count from actor, grouping by first name because that's my non-aggregate, and having a count greater than two. So I don't want to know where there's just one name. I want only where there's over two. Okay. So now I know I burned through that code pretty quickly, but this is stuff we covered last week, so this isn't really anything new. This is, with the exception of this, that's the only thing new from last week. This is just, again, the thing with this, and this is where you got to go play and have fun with it. Um, the where clause allows us to filter the data any way that we want to. Because remember, when we put data into a database, it's not formatted in any way that anyone but us is going to understand. There's tables and columns and data in there, and you can't just say, here's your data, go look at it. We've got to write the code so people get the information that they want. We're going to talk about that in a minute with the final project. Um, but uh, when we use the where clause effectively, we can really granularize the data as it's shown based on what the customer wants to see. All right. Any questions on the code? All right. So let me pull up this here and let me. So right now we're going to talk about the final project. The final project parameters are in week 3, which is what we're in here right now. So it's right here under week 3. We put that there because um, you need to start it this week to really give it all the time it needs to do. The final project is an option. You do not have to do the final project. If you want to do the final exam, do the final exam. That is totally, totally fine. If you want to do the final project, but then in week 12 you realize you don't have the time to finish it, you can go do the final exam. I'm here to make sure you guys get the best experience out of this class. So if something happens where you can't do the final project, then just get that final exam done because stuff happens. Um, so when you go here, final options, you click on this link here, and this is what needs to be submitted to me. So this one here, I need to make an adjustment to because let me edit this real quick while we're talking because it didn't carry over my change. Right here. So if you want to do this, I need you to submit your proposal to me by week 5. Okay, so you're going to submit a proposal to me by email, and it's just basically a one-page document saying what the business name and the purpose, and kind of what, and you don't have to do this. I don't want this here. I just want to know what it's going to do. So, what is the business? What's the purpose of the database, and how's it going to work? What kind of data is it going to store? The purpose of it, how's it going to get out, right? Um, if you don't, for those of you watching at home on Wednesday or Thursday, if you don't get it to me by week 5, it doesn't mean you can't do it. But if you submit something to me on week 12 and it's missing pieces and you don't have everything you need, then that's going to be a problem. So we don't want that to happen. Okay. Or if you chose a product, you chose a database that's just not working. Okay. So, okay. So by week 5, you're going to submit to me the a concept proposal. Now, the other things you need to submit to me by the end. First is a database schema, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So create the database schema in the workbench, and I want you to make sure that you have between 8 and 12 tables. Try to stay in there. Don't go. In my experience, we're going to do this next week. We're going to design a database next week together. If you go over 12 tables, you end up in the 40 range. Once you get into a role in designing things and getting tables out there, you'll end up with 40 tables, and you don't want to create a database that big. Just keep something very small, condensed, simple. If you grab a big idea on how to do something, let's say you want to you decide you want to do a database for a store that sells I want to do here. You want to do a database for a gaming store, like that sells gaming stuff, like D&D, and instead of creating everything, like all the tables for everything, pick one part of it. I'm going to pick the part that sells the collectible card games, or like I want to do a sports card shop, but I'm only going to do the baseball cards or the football cards or whatever it is. So don't go crazy. Keep between 8 and 12 tables. Next, you're going to submit to me. You're going to populate the data between 10 and 15 rows of data. So every table that you show me has to have like between 10 and 15 rows of data. Now, this is where I've told a lot of people last semester, and it works really well. Once you've created the schema and you've got that, and you have access to a generative AI engine, you can give the AI engine the schema and ask it to create the insert statements for you. This is completely fine. Absolutely do this. Because it takes a long time to write that many insert statements for that many tables. And you can just do it through AI, and it's going to do it for you. Just give it the schema, take the schema, put it into a text document, upload it into the AI engine, and say, hey, please, always say please to AI, because one day it's going to take over the world. Please generate 15 rows of data for each table, and it will do it for you. And then you can just copy it. Now, with all things AI, run the code yourself to make sure it didn't lie to you, because sometimes it does, and then fix whatever they did wrong. Next is these two kind of go hand in hand, and it's gonna be fun because only people who watch this video are gonna know this. I leave it this way because I want to see who's watching the videos to see who's paying attention. So these two kind of go hand in hand. So CRUD operations are create, read, update, and delete. They're your 4 basic operations. I want you to create 5 let's just call it 5 business cases. A business case is how are people going to use this database? And I'll show you the ones that I've got for mine. And what I will do, if you like, I will take all the code I have tonight for the database that I'm going to show you what could be turned in, and you can model off of that. So a business case is where you say, this is how let's go to this here. Okay. This is how the database is going to be used. This is how I presume my customers are going to access the database and what they're going to want to see. I'll give you more details on that in a second. And then your final presentation can be a PowerPoint presentation or a video presentation that explains the project. Okay, 3 to 5 minutes long, and that's it. So you're going to give me the proposal by the end of week 5, and then on week 13, the schema, the database population, the business cases, and the PowerPoint presentation. So all in all, there's 5 things that get turned in. Make sense? Everyone with me? All
Yep.
right, cool beans. Okay, so let's look at what I'm talking about here. So I showed this one last week. This is this is a database I created, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And this is a database that tracks missions from NASA. I'm not going to get into the design aspect of it, but just kind of look at how this works here, okay? So I've got 7 tables here. I've got a spacecraft database, a table that gives the name of the spacecrafts, the destination where the spacecraft went, where it launched from, who the astronauts are, which astronaut was on which mission, what class of the spaceship, and then the missions. And the missions are linked to a bunch of different tables here, right? So when we look at the spacecraft table, and we're going to really dive into this next week when we design a database. You'll see that these 2 tables are connected. So when you look at this connecting string here, it's got a little equal sign here and a little V here. This means one to many. That means one entry here can match to many entries here. So one spacecraft will only have one class, but one class will have many spaceships. Same thing here. So we've got missions, right? These are all one to many. One spacecraft on one mission. Missions will have many spacecrafts. One mission will only have one destination. Destination will be subject to many missions. One mission will only have one launch point, but there are many launches used in missions. When we get to this one here, we have astronaut table and mission table. Now, if I were to try to connect these 2 together, one astronaut can go on many missions, and many missions can have the same astronaut. So this becomes what we call a many-to-many relationship. And many-to-many relationships are bad because if I were to go here in the missions table and just start adding columns like astronaut 1, astronaut 2, astronaut 3, hey Audrey, astronaut 4, where do we stop? You know, if I were going to do mission here, mission 1, mission 2, mission 3, where would I stop? So we don't want to have to put this data in here, these tables that doesn't make sense. So when I look over here in my joins, I've got this one here called end to end, which is many to many. And if I just click on the 2 tables, it creates this little table here. So now one astronaut can go on many missions, and many missions can have the same astronaut, and it's all set in this table. These 2 tables run by this table. So this becomes I call them joining tables. That's my personal term. But it allows, because this is one to many, and this is one to many, and that allows this many to many connection to make sense and work. Everyone get that?
Yep.
Okay. So the one other thing I want you to notice here, and this was in last week's video too, but I'm bringing it up here again. You notice that the first column has this little yellow key. That means that is the primary key for this table. Okay. So the primary key is the most important identifying column in the table because it is what the default index runs on. It's the default ordering of that table. It can never be null and it can never be duplicated. So you can't have the same value in there twice and it can't be empty. You'll notice here that there are 2 red keys. One table can have up to, I think, 5 columns designated as a primary key. So in this table here, we have 1 column, it's a yellow key, so this is the primary key here. In this table, these 2 columns are the primary key together, and that's why they're red. Also because they're foreign keyed to other tables. We're talking about foreign keys in a second. Okay. So here, this column has to be unique and not null. Here, both these columns have to be both these columns together have to be unique and not null, which means I can have astronaut one, astronaut one, mission two, astronaut three, mission three. I just can't have astronaut one repeat multiple times. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Over here, you see these red triangles. These are foreign keys. What a foreign key is you see these links here. When I highlight, when I put it over this, you see the primary key in spacecraft lines up with the spacecraft ID here in missions. So what a foreign key means is that in order for me to put value in here, it has to be in here. So if I have a mission ID 1 through 15, or spacecraft ID 1 through 15, and that means this number here can be 1 through 15. If I try to put spacecraft ID 16 or 17, it'll fail, saying the foreign key doesn't exist. So that's what these red dots are. Okay, again, so this one, I've got a red dot class to here, destination, and then when I do this, you see that. Okay, so again, next week when we design a database, we're going to go into the weeds on this pretty deep. So next week, we might run a little past 10:30. I tend to go long when I do database designs, just as a warning. Now, I strongly suggest that you design your database here in the workbench, because all you have to do in this is you click this little button over here. You get your toolbar. You've got your move. You got your erase, and here you've got your tables. I'm gonna place a table, and that's all I have to do. Okay, and then I double click it, and I give it a name, and I'll call this location landings. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to say there's my ID, and then I'm going to do location name, and just do that for right now. Now, notice the first column I put in is the primary key and not null automatically. I can change it. I can make anything I want the primary key, but it's best just do the ID column to that. And then I click my save, which is hidden somewhere. Come on. Anyway, find the save button. Okay. Okay. So there. So then here, so I've got these new tables here. I can link this to, I want location line to mission, so I'm going to do my one to many. There. I got it backwards. My one to many. Okay. That's connected now. Now I've got all this done. I've got this nice little design here done, right? When I go up here to database tools, I've got Forward Engineer. And what this is going to allow me to do is generate the code to create this database. So I go here, gives me all my basics. I click next. I don't want to skip the creation of anything. I click next. Export all my items. And now here's the code to create this database. So now, to your point, Josh, this is the constraint for the foreign key. So here, I'm creating the table of my space for spacecraft. You will have to go here and change the MyDB to the name of your database.
Right.
But here, so here you got constraint, and that's the name of it. Now, generally speaking, FK means foreign key, CC means choice constraint, and you can do the names of them. But here, so I'm doing the constraint. I'm calling it FK spacecraft one. It's the foreign key. It's going to this the class ID column, and it's referencing in the table class the column ID. So this is building the foreign key constraints between the tables. The name of the constraint, what the column in my table is, and what the column in the other table is. So that's how it's set up. Then I've got here these two clauses for that: on delete, no action; on update, no action. That means if I delete from spacecraft, it doesn't change anything in class.
Right.
You could technically set it up to if I delete from spacecraft, it's gonna delete from that. But you don't, or if you delete from class, it deletes from spacecraft. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that that is blocked. Because that is a bad data decision. So does seeing that help?
Yeah, no, that actually helps a lot.
Okay.
Are you gonna can we see the one for the many to many as well?
Yeah, sure. So the many to
Thank you.
many, it's not when I get down here to missions, it's going to be here. So there's spacecraft, there's destination, there's launch, there's landing. So here's the mission has astronauts. So it's just two foreign keys. You're creating two one-to-many relationships. So here, for a mission that has astronauts, I'm creating a constraint between missions and my database. So here's the mission ID column, going to my mission
Right.
ID column here, and then create a second constraint here.
Okay.
So there is no clause to make a many to many. There's no way to do it.
Right.
You just do two one to manys between the table, the bonus table.
Okay.
Yep. So then you take this and then you go back over to here, and here's the code. And then you just make sure that this is going to just delete this here. So I think this, nope. Is it gone? Okay. So here, and I just copied this over, and what I do is I changed my DB to NASA, and then I run this, and it creates the table. Everything's here. Then over here, I've got my insert statements. I've got them in two files because one file was too big. So I run that. I go over here and I run this. And now all my tables have data. So that's you send me this, and then you send me this. Now, here are the CRUD statements. So use case number one, assigning an astronaut to a mission. Okay. So this case, I'm assigning an astronaut to mission. So here I'm inserting into the mission astro table uh, the astronaut, the mission. So the ID for the astronaut, the ID for the ID for the mission astro table, the mission ID, and the astronaut ID. Here's my select statement for it. So if I do this insert statement, it creates the record. I can do a read statement on to see that was it in there. When you cut and paste and you type it, mistype it. And there's my Glenn. I can do an update statement. So here I'm setting astronaut to the updating the mission astro table where the mission is 17 and astronaut is 5. Change it to 6. So it's the wrong astronaut. Hit it again. Okay. And then I can delete from it if I wanted to. So you're going to come with a case study, and then give me the CRUD statements for it. I'm going to insert a new mission. I'm going to show it. I'm going to update it, and then I'm going to delete it. Make sense? This one here, I'm going to schedule a new mission. There's my insert statement. There's my read statement. Here's my update to it, and there's my delete. Any questions? All right, I'll take that. No questions means we got done a lot faster than I anticipated. Uh, so we can either play around and design a database, or you guys can take off a little early tonight.
I did have a few questions related to like I'm working on a database and I was wondering if you had any tips and tricks on it, but
Yeah. This this
um,
this 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 meeting is if you got any questions about anything, I'll answer them. So go for it. What you got?
okay. So I'm working on a database where I can track um, some. So I'm a cadet commander for a Civil Air Patrol Squadron. I have a whole bunch of cadets that I have to keep track of and make
Hmm?
sure they're. So it'll have disciplinary reports and like promotion reports, stuff like that.
Hmm? Hmm?
So I'm wondering what sort of tables would I want to have in there? I would want to have a cadets table for the people, and then maybe like some sort of reports table. But like, what sort of tables would I want?
So let's do this. So this is kind of a database design thing. So let's talk about that. So it's a cadets table. It's a database that's going to track cadets. Okay.
Correct.
So let's actually do it in here. Why not? Let's do it in here. Like create a new model.
So what I've got so far is it has like their rank, their cadets, inspections,
Hmm.
what group they're part of, attendance, and then like events.
Okay. So let's start with the cadets table.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Cadets. Now I'm going to try to do this right because I always forget when I'm doing this. The proper way to do things is table names should never be plural. Should always be
Right.
singular. And I always goof that up. Okay. We'll just do cadet name because I don't want to get too deep into the woods. That's right. Okay. So now in there would be like their name, their address, their phone number, their age, birthday, all that other cool stuff. So everything in here has to be the data for the student. So you said we would need to know their rank. Okay. So let's create a rank table. So we get a rank ID, and then we're going to rank name, and then date awarded. Okay. Right? Sounds look good.
Yep.
So now, how do we link these together? One cadet.
One cadet could have many ranks.
Okay, so we need to do many to many. So do this
Right.
right here. Boom. Okay. So then you said the next table would be um
Well,
missions.
yeah, or well, the table that I'm struggling with the most
Hmm.
is I need to put so we've got groups
Hmm.
called flights, and then we have multiple cadets in a certain flight. So you have to assign one cadet to a certain flight, but then you also have to assign leaders to those flights, and a cadet is a leader. So I'm kind of having like I'm ending up with a whole bunch of ties that all tie between cadet and the flight.
Okay, so let's play that. Let's say we get a flight ID, and then okay, so we got a flight ID, and then there'll be a bunch of information that goes in flight ID, right? So
Right.
one cadet can be in many flights, and one flight can have many cadets. So we're gonna do it many to many here, right?
Okay.
what you're saying is one person in here.
So yeah, the cadet would only ever be in one flight at a time, but
Right.
then they could change from one to another.
Well, so we'd have date, flight date, because there might be dates attached to that, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, they're in the one flight start date, flight end date. Um, so again, I don't know the specifics, so this is just kind of like snowballing here.
Hmm.
Start date, and then flight end date. And then we'd have a column, change that to dates. Right? And then I'd have a column flight is leader. And then make that probably bit. So
Okay.
what we'd have here is we have the flight ID, the cadet, the date of the start of flight, the end of the flight, and whether it's the leader, whether they're the leader or not.
Okay. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And you could do that for like multiple leaders in a
Yep.
flight.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can make sure here you can do this. Um, no, you really can't. I was gonna say you can make it unique, but that's fine. So yeah, you can make sure, and then you can put some constraints in there it gets a little trickier, but you can make sure there's only one leader to each flight. But yeah, there's some behind the scenes stuff you got to do on that one. I'd have to find the code for that for you, but you could
Okay.
technically do that.
Okay.
I think you could do.
Cool.
I think you could do this. I think that's the easy way to do it. That's going to require that. No, that's not going to do it. I have to look into how to do that, but you could. There's a way to do that. Yep. So that's how I would do that.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
but see, and we're gonna do this next week. We're gonna go into like go and really make it from soup to nuts, make one. But that's kind of how you when you design a database, you just pick the one you still got to start with cadet, and then all
Yep.
the information about a cadet, like and then all the tables you have to go around it. So you just kind of go that way. But this sounds like a great final project for you.
Yeah, so far I've got it so that I can list all of the cadets in my unit and I can submit reports on them and get those reports back. So
And you
it's,
designed it yourself?
yeah.
Oh, I would definitely.
So,
I mean, it sounds like you're pretty well into it, but I am okay with you if you want to use this for your final project.
okay. I will definitely consider that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something you made, and it's something you're working on something else. I'm okay because you still got some work to do on it. So it'd be a good exercise for you to like refine it based on what you learn in this class. So,
Yeah, 100%.
yep. All right,
Okay. Thank you.
no problem. And if you have any questions on just ping me on Teams Messenger or whatever, and I'll reply back. Or we can do these on Tuesday nights.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Audrey, you're new to these parts. Is there any questions? You doing okay? You understand everything so far?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I actually exposing myself here. Um, I missed the last few assignments as far as the date. But while I was going through the exercises quiz,
Mhm.
I started to do it and then I got a few questions down and realized I think I'm using the wrong schema. Um, what am I supposed to be using as
Okay.
far as like so like for example, like question three was like the write a query against the payment table. Um,
Oh. Are you talking? Okay, so you're talking about. So there's two things. Hang on. So there's
okay.
the writing assignment, and there's the So let me go back here to modules. So you're talking about the weekly paper and not the exercises. So you're talking about this guy here.
No, actually, well, no, I was talking about the exercises. I think. Yeah, it looks like it's the exercises, but like the
Which one? Week two?
week, yeah, week two. Sorry.
Because there shouldn't be anything about payments tables and these things. Wait, edit.
Well, I just like, oh,
Show me your
I
screen.
think one of the questions on the exercise, like the test, is like write a query. How would you write a query against something to uh, like get rid of
yeah, that
tables
third
or
question.
add tables?
Oh, okay. So this one is,
Well, I just didn't know if we were supposed to be like referencing a specific
oh, here it is, payment table. Okay.
table, like what, like a specific schema, or if we're just like going off of like, because technically the first two questions, right? It says like retrieve the ID, first name, last name, email from
Right,
customers. Like I can assume what that would look like, right?
right,
Like customer
right.
ID, first name, whatever. But for I don't know. When we got down to question three, I was like, I think it would be helpful for me to see a table, I guess.
Well,
And I just wasn't sure what schema or
so there's a
what
payment table.
database I'm looking at.
There's a payment table in the schema in this here, in the Sakilla table.
Under, sorry.
Sakilla?
So it's the Possum
Oh,
Pets database.
is
No,
it the Blossom Pets? Because that's
no,
what I started looking at, and then I was like, I don't think that's right.
well, no,
It's
because there shouldn't be. So the exercises
yeah.
deal with Sakilla.
Oh, okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah. The writing assignments deal with possum pets.
Okay,
There's a payment
that
table.
was my confusion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So this I should, probably should put, yeah, this should, we should have something here. We'll add that next semester that this
Use
should
that
be,
database.
yeah.
Yeah,
The exercises are all, the exercises are all Sakilla.
gotcha.
Yeah. So there's that payment table there. But you're right. Also, there is a payment table in possum pets that you have to generate.
Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Okay. Uh,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Also, one last thing about the final project I forgot to add. So, if you do the final project, um, and it comes to the this writing assignment, so if you're doing the as of this week, if you're going to do the final project, you don't have to do the possum pet stuff. So this becomes, and I don't put it in here. I tell you guys, anyone who does the final project, I tell you that instead of doing this, this becomes a weekly communication with me on how you're doing with the final project. You can do this if you want to, but you don't have to. So the weekly writing assignment just becomes, hey, brother Civic, here's where I'm at with my stuff right now, blah 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 blah. Okay. Um, because the possum pets exercise um, is basically hand holding the class to go through a final project. Because this is what you're doing. I'm just telling you how to do it step by step. The final project's giving you the opportunity to do it on your own, whereas this is helping you along.
So question on the final project.
Hmm?
Um, what exactly are we supposed to turn in the end? Because what I'm building is something that works with Python so that I can build an app.
Right,
But I'm guessing all we turn in is just like the schema and or the
right.
table.
So all you're going to turn into me is you're going to turn in, where are we here? This, the schema to build the database.
Okay.
You're going to turn in the insert statements to populate the database, and you're going to turn in the CRUD statements for the case studies. And you're going to make a PowerPoint presentation for it.
Okay.
Yep, and that's it. So
So,
there's four things total that you turn into me on week 13, and then send to me the proposal by week 5.
okay. So I'll have to do the insert statements separately.
Yeah, like I said, I mean,
But that's easier with ChatGPT.
yeah, just do the ChatGPT. That's, to be honest, that's how I made these for my database because it's just easier to do it that way. I mean, with yours, and I probably for what you're doing, I prefer use fake data than send me the real stuff.
Right.
This is a real table, so yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Everything for me. Thank you so much.
No worries. Abba, Audrey, you thinking final project? You thinking final exam? I know it's early in the week, but
I
think I'll go with the final project. Just because it's, I mean, applying it into real life makes it easier to understand. So, yeah.
I agree. And that's why we did the final project because we didn't have, I've been teaching this course for about 8 years now, I think. And we didn't have the final project until 3 years ago because this has been a database design course, but there was nothing to design. So we're giving you the design option. So Audrey, you already outed yourself enough, so you don't have to tell me whether you want to do the project or not, but I'm hoping you choose the project because it's a lot of fun.
I'm leaning towards project. I've looked at it a little bit.
It's
Um,
not hard to do either. It's a lot of fun.
yeah. Yeah, I think I'll probably do project.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Oh, one more quick question.
Sure.
So if I want to do the project,
Mhm.
but then I also want to do the quiz just for to like test my knowledge on that. If I struggle a lot with quizzes, so will that bring my grade down or
So
will
you
like
have
will
to do
that affect my grade?
so the weekly quizzes you have to do.
Right.
The
But
final exam you don't.
okay.
With
But
the weekly quizzes, so keep in mind, I don't know if you, well, last time, with the weekly quizzes, remember, there's no time limit,
mhm.
you get 2 shots, and you can Google all the answers if you want.
Yes, so my question is if I end up doing the final project, but then I also just want to kind of for fun do the final exam,
Oh, I don't grade it.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
If I see both of them, I automatically discount the final exam. But yeah, I mean, if you want to do both, knock yourself out, man. I'm not going to
All right,
stop.
thank you.
Mhm. Agency is real. All right. That's that. Then thank you for joining me tonight. Enjoy conference this weekend. It's gonna be a deep one, I think. A lot happened this week, so I'm curious. And last week, I'm curious to see how conference is gonna go and what we're gonna be talking about. So, um, if nothing else, I will bid you guys good night, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks, everybody.
you.
You're welcome.